Welcome. This is episode 53 of Cougs on Cougs. I am Jess, here with Mary. And we had a good week. We had 2 basketball wins, so that was exciting.
Yes.
And let's start with our quote of the week.
This one comes from Larry H. Miller, who was in the news a lot yesterday. He said, "Go out into the world and do good until there is too much good in the world." I think that aligns with a kind of BYU's mentality, right?
I think so.
And we just wanted to give a shout out to the Millers for being such class acts.
Keeping the Jazz in Utah.
Yep. It's what we like to see. The more basketball in Utah, the better. That's what we say.
Yeah, it's nice to have a secure future. We did a contest last week, as it was our 1-year anniversary. We have a prize pack that we're giving away. And,
a couple of these shirts.
Yep. A couple of those. Some lanyards.
Golf
and
tees.
Just BYU swag stuff. So, we are going to draw a name from all of you lovely people
right now
sent us comments or emails or whatever. Thank you very much.
From Jess's lucky hat.
Yes, my lucky Cougar hat.
So hopefully it brings you luck.
Yes.
Here we go.
Well, it'll bring one of you luck at least. Dwayne Wallace.
Our favorite Cincinnati fan, who is also a BYU fan.
As is his son, right?
Yeah, he can probably use the BYU swag more than anyone else in the hat because he probably has the least amount of any of you.
That's probably true.
But he does have some.
Well, now he has more.
And he did say today he's coming out for the UMass game.
Oh, sweet.
Got you something to wear, Dwayne.
Fantastic.
So we'll be in touch with you. Get your address and send that along.
Congratulations, and thanks to everybody that entered.
Yes.
We will do more contests in the future.
Shall we move it? I think we do have a Valentine's Day contest brewing, and I think we have some more clothing to give away. You guys seem to really like that. Coaching from the couch, we beat Pacific 62-47. Our other win from last week was over Pepperdine, thank goodness.
Thank goodness we won. 99-70.
Yes.
Beat them by 29, so that was nice.
So I'll start. Free throw shooting in the past 3 or 4 games has not really impressed me. We started out the season really well, especially Eric looked really good from the line. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been as good lately. I think it was 66% against Pacific, so I'd like to see... I know Stephen Bale keeps missing at the line. Elijah has missed a few, and those are 2 of your reliable free throw shooters.
Mm-hmm. Can I just point out that Eric Mika was 5 for 5?
Yes.
That game.
So let's not blame him. I'm looking at you, Stephen and Eli, our guards. Don't miss your free throws.
So what went wrong... We kind of, in the beginning, and this seems to be a trend with a lot of these teams, we have a kind of a slow start. I mean, we were kind of keeping with their pace in the beginning, and it was sort of back and forth. And so, I don't know, I'd like to see us somehow speed things up a little bit or get some better shots, at least early, so we can get into a rhythm and get things going. And the other thing was that in the first half, Nick Emery was scoreless in that first half. So when you have a starter like that, scoreless in the first half, you also had LJ who didn't have any points in that game. That can make for a rough first half.
And that's not a new thing. We've seen a few games where TJ doesn't get his first points until the second half. And those are your starting guards.
Yeah, so I'd like to see more from them early.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you've got Eric down there scoring, so you don't see it as much. Or in that game, TJ was sort of on fire. So
TJ had a good game.
So against a team like Pacific, it may not be a big problem, but
against a team like Gonzaga,
or St. Mary's, or some, even some of these other teams like San Diego, it's a problem.
No, we need scoring from that. I think that you made a good point because a lot of the time they'll still reach their average, but they don't get all of their points until the second. So Nick got 8 points, and he
scored 8 pretty quick.
And then he got injured, which, by the way, also went wrong.
That's true.
Wishing the best for him. So let's move on to what went right. This kind of speaks to Jess's point. She did talk about the slow start and how we were playing to their tempo, which, to be honest, the game sped up a little bit, but it didn't really ever speed up a lot, hence this very low score, 62-47. But we talked about this last week. Defense travels, and offense clearly didn't this time. But our defense finally looked great in a road game. That's been a really big problem for us. It definitely hurt us against San Diego. We had 9 steals, and that wasn't just one person having 9 steals. TJ had a couple, Nick had a couple, Elijah had one, I think Yoli had one, and we also had 7 blocks. So I love that defense finally did what it needed to on the road.
Mm-hmm. For sure, and that's something we need to see more of. But yeah, anytime you can hold a team to 47 points, you're doing something right. Mm-hmm. And with those steals, I mean, that comes from defense first, having active hands and being in the right place at the right time. And so yeah, that was really good to see.
Okay, what's yours, Coach Tyler?
My one right kind of goes back the last couple of games. Maybe not as much against Pacific, but still some. And that, for me, is Elijah Bryant. Having him...
I like that one.
Right? Having a solid, strong guard that can come off the bench, that can be a good defensive presence, that can score, that's taking good shots. He's pretty efficient so far. It's really nice to have someone like that can come off the bench and give you a lift when guys like Nick Emery or LJ Rose are struggling and not scoring. So nice to have him as an option.
I know. I found myself thinking during both of last week's game, like, oh, I kind of want Elijah to start, but then I thought about it some more, and I'm like, him being that spark off the bench is fantastic, because that's what you want. You want a spark off the bench, someone that's going to come in, score points, get guys excited on defense, and he really is doing that. So there's our couch coaching for that specific game. Now we're going to bring our friend Ken on, #HireKen, and we're going to talk more broadly just about the season. So, as promised, we have on #HireKen. We call him HireKen. If you want to call him FireKen, that's kind of mean.
That's mean.
But it works sometimes for, the BYU basketball juju.
It's been proven that it doesn't work.
Oh,
the 2 losses to Valpo were FireKen dependent.
Then stop saying that.
Yeah.
Now, can I interject though real quick?
Yeah.
Did you get fired from your event staff job or did you quit?
It was technically neither. I graduated, so
they won't let you work anymore.
They won't let me work anymore.
So you got let go by default. That hashtag isn't as trendy. Let go Ken by default.
It's
a mouthful.
So anyway, find Ken on Twitter at OKellyKM. Also, exciting news, since we last had Ken on, he has joined the Vanquish the Foe team.
Yay.
He's our stats guy, our official stats guy. You're welcome for giving you your platform.
Yeah,
I would
say
you rose to stardom, really, on Cougs on Cougs,
really,
right?
It was all us.
Humble beginnings, and
well,
I'm gonna shoot to stardom.
Gotta start somewhere. So we'll talk about some of the stuff you've been writing for Vanquish the Foe, because you have put out some good stuff. But let's start
with our team, our basketball team.
Yes.
So there's been some up and downs this season. We've lost some games that we didn't expect to or didn't think that we could lose. And so there's a lot of talk out there about how this team is terrible and we just have to wait till next year and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanted to have Ken on to discuss, is our team actually getting worse or are they actually improving? So what do you think, Ken?
I think our team is overall improving. The trends are all looking positive.
You heard it here first.
There you go.
So, of course we have games that are outliers like Utah Valley or San Diego where the team doesn't perform well, but the lows are higher than they had been earlier in the season. The highs are also higher than they were earlier in the season.
Which is a good thing. And it is, to be honest, a thing that I was wondering, because if you just look at our season without the numbers, really, it seems like we have really up performances and then we have really down performances and there's not really in between. So to hear that there is actually a steady incline is at least comforting to me.
So what areas are getting better? Let's start with the biggest one, and that's defense.
So defense is improving by about half a point per game. In
Slow
terms
and
of
steady?
possession pace, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you combine that with our increases in offensive efficiency, we're getting about a point of separation more per 100 possessions, and we typically play about 170 possessions, so that's almost 2 points a game of separation we're gaining.
Which can make a huge difference.
Which
can make all the difference.
Yeah, Illinois would have been an overtime game.
Yeah.
Right.
Those 2 points.
Gosh. It hurts.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, because I think you can see it in some instances. You can see that even not but it is a slow thing.
What were you saying to me about RPI? Because that's another really interesting thing. Not everyone, a few people on Twitter have, given up completely on our NCAA hopes. But what you don't realize is that BYU is not the only team in the NCAA who has unforgivable losses this season. A lot of teams have very bad losses. And then what were you saying about RPI?
So RPI is a fundamentally flawed metric, but it's used very prominently by the NCAA selection committee. Mm-hmm. And how they calculate it is it's 25% your own record. It's 50% your opponent's record, not including the games you played against them, and 25% your opponent's records.
Okay.
So it's really simple, but it doesn't take into account like team quality.
Yeah,
like,
you actually have very little to do with it.
Yeah, and they account for wins at home, neutral, and away courts. Like a win away is worth 0.14 wins. Neutral win is just 1, and a home win is worth 0.6. Home losses are worth 1.4 losses. Away losses are only 0.6 losses. So losing at San Diego hurts our RPI the same as losing at Gonzaga, which doesn't make sense.
Yay!
But
but be grateful for it.
But yeah, be grateful for it.
And be grateful St. Mary's and Gonzaga are in our conference, because just from that alone...
Yeah, just from playing in undefeated Gonzaga, 50% of the RPI is your opponent's record, which Gonzaga being
Gonzaga has the best record in the league.
That's going to boost it regardless of outcome.
Ha, suckers.
So the fact that we're 99th, I think, right now, without having played Gonzaga twice, we're going to shoot up into the 60s probably extremely easily without even winning against Gonzaga or St. Mary's.
And if we win, we
should jump into the top 40.
What we wanted to know, just if there were any other notable trends that are happening with this team that people should be aware
of. Overall, our 3-point shooting is getting a lot better. I measure that just by 3-point makes versus our 3-point percentage, and it's going up faster than pretty much any other metric to look at.
That's good, especially since it was so rough at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Before the season, we weren't making 1 in 3 of our attempts, but now we're cruising.
Now, why do you think that is?
I think, honestly, it is the main difference has been the play of TJ Haas.
I thought you might say that.
He looks much more comfortable getting on, when he's on the court, taking shots.
He does.
He doesn't always score a ton. He's averaging, I think, 14 points a game is what we were saying. And, I mean, that's a huge increase from when he was scoring, 7 earlier in the season.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Ken said that he's been keeping track of the freshmen who get a lot of minutes, Yoli and TJ, and that TJ's been on a pretty steep incline as far as play.
In terms of overall efficiency, he started fairly low. He was probably the second lowest starter behind LJ, and he's right at the same production levels as Yoli and above Emery now.
Wow.
So Emery's just been more consistent through the year.
Okay, and the last thing I think we wanted to ask you about, what have you found notable enough that you're writing about for Vanquish the Foe? Because Ken has put out 2 or 3 articles since joining the team, right?
Yeah, I wrote one about the pace, which we heard in the W.TV's interview, or them spying on practice.
When they mic'd up Coach Rose.
When they mic'd up Coach Rose, and he was clapping a lot and saying pace is everything. So I had an article about that and showing that if BYU can dictate the pace, BYU wins.
Oh, absolutely.
But if we let teams like St. Mary's dictate the pace and throw us out of our game,
San Diego,
we struggle quite a bit with that.
Yep, Ken found out that we're 2-3 in those games that get slowed down, so we're below 500 there.
Yeah. Luckily, our game against Pacific was second slowest game, but we were able to play really good defense.
Yeah.
And hopefully it shows that our team's turning around in those slow games.
What was the difference in possessions between Pacific, our second slowest, and then the slowest, I'm assuming, was St. Mary's?
Yeah, so St. Mary's was our slowest, and we had...
St. Mary's made us look like we were stuck in mud.
Yeah, it was 139 possessions for the entire game. Our second slowest at Pacific was 154. So 15 more possessions.
What's our average?
Our average is 173, I think.
Yikes.
Okay, that's a big difference.
So you're right. Pace is everything. So Ken, thank you for joining us. # hire Ken.
Please.
This is Talk of the Town, of course. And the first thing on our list is that we have an engagement.
Yes.
We always like to mention engagements.
We do.
This time it is one of our favorite kickers, Rhett Almond.
One of them.
Well, we
BYU, where you have multiple favorite kickers.
Right? That's
Anyway.
fair, especially after this season. We can have multiples.
Yes.
So he's engaged to his girlfriend, Hannah. So congratulations to Rhett.
Yep,
It's
and
very
his
exciting.
sister Kara shot this video, so we'll link to it somewhere in the article or something.
Yes,
But
they look like models, of course. So.
California on a beach. Next, sticking with football, Kalani is in his element.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he is a recruiting machine. He's everywhere. He went from Connecticut to Hawaii and back over the past week. So, I mean, I think...
We should start a Where in the World is Kalani Sitake segment.
Yes, like Carmen Sandiego.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we will. Wait for it.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's working really hard. Signing day is like a week and a half away, I think. So
Down to the wire.
Reese's Senior Bowl is going on. And, of course, Jamal Williams is there, as is Harvey Longy.
Mm-hmm.
But we got this picture day from Reese's Senior Bowl on Twitter. It says BYU football running back J Swag Daddy Jamal Williams wins for best fanny pack at the Reese's Senior Bowl.
The hashtag's the best part.
Hashtag also the only one. Which is Jamal, right? There is no other Jamal. I mean,
He one of a kind is the best way to describe Jamal. And we should...
showing it on.
It's tie-dye. Where did he get that? Is it Nicole's, maybe?
I hope so.
Time
Speaking
for
of
basketball.
engagements,
Also engagements. This was at the Pepperdine game. There was a proposal, and we happened to be sitting directly. We were sitting in the same, I think, portal
Oh, were you?
as the couple that got engaged. So,
There's lots of cheering.
what other university?
Do you have this and baby races and whatever else?
Halftime was so quintessential BYU.
Yes, it was. Peyton Dastrip. Again, if you don't follow Peyton on Twitter, you should. Shout out to Cougar Nation for literally making every game a home game and supporting us through the ups and downs. We heart you all. And this was at the Pacific game.
Luckily, it wasn't a down. This was an up.
Yes, thank goodness.
Like, we saw the picture of Nick and
we-
Eric and TJ with, the fan after the loss. This one's more fun. I mean, that one was fun.
It is. I know. Look at all the fans. And I'm sure he was great and came out and talked to everybody. And he just has that personality.
I know Sang Kim, his 5-pound trout on Twitter, said that Peyton, after the games, will literally take a picture with every kid and autograph every single thing that everyone wants him to. He's just the best. We love you, Peyton.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these athletes were those kids at one point,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great when they
Recognize
remember that
that.
and, give back, so.
Okay. Next, we have to discuss this. There is a controversy brewing at the center of our basketball team that has nothing to do with basketball. It has to do with a nickname for TJ Haws. Since before the season started, people have been trying to come up with a nickname for him. And I know that the one that Uncle Pat was trying to push, while he was still on his mission, is the Ginger Mamba, which we really liked, and that's one we were going to go with.
I
But
like all of his
it
nicknames.
hasn't really stuck. And so then we see this tweet from Callan Osborne, and he said that Mark Durant called him the Red Flash, which I don't hate. But then Elijah was on ESPN 960 last week, and he said that Red Curry is the nickname that the team is trying to get to stick. But why is the nickname why is nothing sticking? That's my question.
I don't know. I know TJ Haws loves Steph Curry, so he probably prefers that one.
Yeah, that's why his number's 30, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got all sorts of nicknames out there.
I
don't
know.
really care. I think they're all great. Why not have a ton of nicknames?
Well, what's funny is TJ is already a nickname. I mean, unless you want to call him Tyson J, he already has a nickname.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's great.
I
And
mean, nicknames are not really one of those things that you can force. I feel like people start calling you something when, not that you've earned it necessarily, but it's like really organic. And with TJ, everyone's trying to make it so unorganic and just calling him all this stuff.
With his high school career, that he'd already have a nickname.
Yeah, why doesn't he have a nickname? Because TJ already is a nickname.
I don't know. I think he's just kind of an enigma. Deseret News Sports did an article, says Jeffrey Call, that was about Yoli Childs and just, his fit on the court and off the court, how he came to BYU, and then his baptism and everything. So it was really interesting to get to know Yoli a little bit better and why he made that decision. His mom was interviewed as part of it. So if you haven't read it, we'll put the link in our article. So
Yeah,
check it
he's
out.
one of those players that maybe you originally thought he wasn't going to be the best fit at BYU, but turns out he's like fits like a glove.
Can I just say my favorite thing about that article about Yoli was talking about his baptism, and the person that kind of asked him if he wanted to meet with the missionaries was Eric Mika.
Obviously.
Recently returned missionary Eric Mika.
So some bad news for Portland, who is already having a rough season.
Yeah.
Remember when they put up 33 against St. Mary's? That was ugly. Makes you feel better about our loss. Anyway, Alec Wintering has torn his ACL. Mm-hmm. So he's done. And, you know, Alec Wintering is one of those guys you hate. And that's an accomplishment for him. You hate him? He always is getting career threes against us. He's such a good player.
He is. I think he's fun to watch. He's a smaller guy. He's quick.
Right. Well, I'm saying it's a compliment that we hate him. He's kind of like a BYU guard, but he plays for Portland. So, anyway, our thoughts are with him in his recovery. And we just wanted to mention that we have yet to play Portland, but when we do, it will be without Alec Wintering.
Won't be the same. This was kind of interesting today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday, I mean. So UVU Athletics tweeted out that BYU coach Dave Rose was Coach Mark Pope's guest on the UVU Coaches Show. They were raising money for the American Cancer Foundation. But it was kind of interesting to see the two talking.
And where's the picture of them serving?
Right here. So, yeah, they were serving Subway sandwiches as well as part of that to raise money. So I guess there's not that many hard feelings from that loss earlier this season, which is good. I mean, I'm not surprised there's not, but
we don't bring that up.
We know they're good friends, but
and I know our guest Ken was saying that he tweeted them and asked if either of them have their food handler's permit and did not get a response. Uh-oh. So eat at your own risk, I guess. Speaking of coaches versus cancer, you can still vote for Coach Rose in the Infinity Coaches Challenge for a few more days. And if you retweet, go look at Aubrey Reeves' timeline. She's giving away signed pictures of Eric, TJ, and Nick. Don't act like you don't want those. So
I just want the Eric one. Kate Hansen, remember Kate? She was part of the Olympic team and goes to BYU. Mm-hmm. She tweeted a picture out of President Obama repping the Y.
We would be remiss if we did not mention that there was a transfer of power this past week and hashtag thanks Obama.
Is that it for
coming up next for us? Listen for us on ESPN 960 tonight. We are supposed to be headed up to Thanksgiving Point if all goes well, and we're going to be talking about our 1-year anniversary, and with Criddle, I'm sure it'll be a slew of other stuff.
BYU is at Santa Clara this Thursday. That's at 9 p.m. Mountain on ESPNU. It's a late game. Sorry, East Coasters.
Or on ESPN, so that's fun.
Yeah. So, Cougs. Hopefully we'll win that one. Hopefully we'll have Nick Emery for that one.
Yes. So. We would give you an update on him if we had a concrete one, but we don't. So we'll see you on Thursday. Our second game of the week is Loyola Marymount, and that will be at home at the Marriott Center. That's on Saturday at 7 p.m., and that one will be on BYU TV if you can't make it. As always, wear white if you can, and after LMU...
That's a fun time. Gonzaga's coming to town. I'm excited about that.
So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there, but get excited.
Yeah, also that LMU game at LMU was a little crazy, so hopefully it'll be a little different this time. Still a win, but... let's hope it doesn't come down to the wire.
Right.
Sponsors this week, we have to mention that Kyle Van Noy is going to be in the Super Bowl. So the Patriots won their game against, who were they playing? I don't even remember. I watched it now.
The Steelers.
Oh, yeah, the Steelers. So beat the Steelers. So Kyle, who went from the Lions to the Patriots this season, gets to go play for a Super Bowl.
Yep, and I know that the Patriots are not the most beloved team in the NFL,
My husband loves the Patriots.
Find someone, you have someone to root for now on the Patriots, so there you go.
That's right, and he had a forced fumble in that game, so that was pretty cool.
Yes, really cool.
Good job, Kyle.
Our second sponsor for the week is Rudy. So we just wanted to give a warm welcome to one of the newest members of the church. He got baptized, and we heard that stemmed from a Bronco fireside, so hate all you want, but it worked for someone. May you always stay loyal to the white and blue. For Jess, I'm Mary. We'll see you next week.